I'm excited to welcome on Coach Adam Fisher. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing great, Zach. Thanks for having me here. Excited to be with you.
Absolutely. So you're back home. I know you've been there for a little bit now in Pennsylvania, but what's just been like adjusting to that now?
You know, it's great. I grew up in Bucks County, PA, which is about an hour from Temple's campus. And to get back home, my wife's family is also from Bucks County, so we have a little 2.5-year-old daughter. So to be back with grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody, my niece, nephew are right here. It's great to be back home.
So this is a unique job because Temple has obviously been a program for a very long time that has history, but I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily realize that right away. So when you come into this program and we see that there are top 10 all-time winningest program, how excited does it make you to take over the reins of this program and possibly get them back to national relevance and where people start to see just how great they are?
You know, Zach, I think it's something you got to teach your own players. And we share with recruits, like, this is one of the greatest college programs of all time. With that comes pressure. I remember one of my mentors, Coach Larinaga, called me one day and he's like, Fish, do you know it's the 6th winningest? And I say, I do, Coach. And we just want to make, we want to play the right way. We're excited, but I think our guys need to understand the history. We've invited so many basketball alums back this summer. And anytime they come back, they speak to our team. Because I think I need guys that wore the cherry and white jersey to explain what it's like to win here, what it's like to win at Temple. And they need to share their stories. And, there've been some really good teams that haven't gone as far in Temple's history. And then there's some teams that, figure it out. They keep getting better throughout the season and then they take off. So just excited to be a part of this. It's unbelievable coaches before me, and it's a players program. There's so many great former players that have built this program. And that's why I think it's important for them to come back.
You mentioned Coach Jim Larinaga, and we know he's obviously had an incredible run at Miami now. And you spent a few years with him. So what's it just been like having him in your life and just the way he's helped grow you as a coach?
He's the best. 8 years with him, and you never know if you're prepared for a head coaching job, right? And I think what I've learned in a short time is it's the mentors you have. They prepare you. And my 8 years with Coach Larinaga have prepared me to be here. And he just is the best, I think, at building a program and getting the most out of his student athletes, doing things on campus. He just does it the right way. He gets to know all the janitors' names and lets them be a part of your program because they do a lot. Everybody has a hand in it. So I've learned so much from him. His top assistant coach, Mrs. Larinaga, I learned so much from her. And, it's just not basketball with him. He teaches you about life. And that's what we started to do. We implemented a lot of things that I learned in my time at the University of Miami. And, it taught me that it's bigger than basketball. And I think that's what I learned from him. And I think you see the great success he's had, not just recently, but throughout his entire career.
You mentioned a cool part, and you talked about his wife and her impact on him. How have you learned to kind of take, obviously you being married as well now, have her help impact your life and as a coach, on and off the court?
Yeah, we got the job and we got thrown into some events right away. So my wife learned quickly, we had to go to the Coaches versus Cancer, which is something really special, especially the Philadelphia chapter. So to be a part of the Big Five, Coach versus Cancer, we had to go to a gala one of the first weeks on the job. And, it was just a great experience. She got to meet a lot of people, but she saw quickly, what Philadelphia basketball is like. And it was just an amazing room. And the amount of money they raised for cancer, I think it was over $1 million just that night. But, it was great. She got to see that. And, she hears phone calls a lot more and some of the stuff. And, I brought my daughter to practice, the other day. My wife said, hey, can you take her in the morning? I said, sure. And she was my assistant coach. She walked around with me with a whistle. And but she's enjoyed it. And she reaches out to Mrs. Larinaga, too, and says, hey, question about this. And, I know she's reached out to Molly Shrewsbury, great family. And Coach Shrewsbury, obviously new head coach at Notre Dame. But, I think you lean on those people that have done it before for ideas and questions that come up.
I was reading an interesting story because in high school you were playing basketball. You have a coach named Derek Wright, and he's the brother of Jay Wright. Obviously, everyone knows who he is. And you end up having a unique connection with Coach Wright for a little bit. You become his GA later on. Can you take us to the story a little bit? Like, how did this relationship start to get going with Coach Wright, and how close are you guys today?
Coach Wright, playing for Coach Wright in high school, he was a
Mhm.
younger coach at the time. He was great, full of energy. He was way better than most of our team. I might say everybody on our team. I don't know if any of guys on our high school team will be watching. And just a great, great person. And then, I go to Penn State to be a manager, and then I knew I wanted to coach. And you want to start up, and back then it was to become a GA. That was a big thing. So I remember reaching back out and trying to get connected. Sent out, I think, 170 emails, and you hear back from like 11, right? And then you try to narrow it down, and you hear back from Villanova was one of them, and try to reach out to any connection you have to it. And that was one of them.
Mhm.
And it was a great experience working for Coach Wright. Again, another Hall of Famer. So I've been really lucky in my mentors, but a Sweet 16 and a Final Four in my first 2 years of technically, being a GA, I was like, wow, this is incredible. But
Mhm.
that was the experience. And so much to the Wright family. They're just incredible people. And, again, having that mentor early on in my young coaching career has been able to help me and prepare me for today.
You talk
You
about
talk
Coach
about Coach
Shrewsbury, Coach
Shrewsbury, Coach
Wright,
Wright,
Coach
Coach
Larinaga.
Larinaga.
What's the
What's the
biggest thing you
biggest thing
learned
you
from
learned
each
from
one of
each one
them?
of them?
It's a great question. Coach Wright, I think, he showed me how to, again, run a program and get the most
Mhm.
out of every player. If you watch their teams, they compete, they play the right way. And he just brings it back. He brings the alumni back. They have a summer jam fest, and he's just done it, for so many years. He builds it, and his relationships, he's so real. I always tell people,
Mhm.
what you see is what you get. That's who he is. And I got to stay in touch with him a lot this year. He did obviously the broadcasting this year, and he'd have Big Ten games. He'd call me early on a Monday morning. Hey, I'm doing this Big Ten game on Saturday. What do you think of this? Can we talk? And he's just so detailed. Everything he does,
Mhm.
his details are off the charts, and everything he does is with a purpose. So it was just a great experience to be able to work for him. Coach Shrewsbury the last 2 years was awesome. Going back to Penn State, my alma mater, getting to work for him, and just watching. Obviously he was in the NBA for 6 years, and
Yeah.
his experience, his attention to detail with the X's and O's. I don't think anybody runs better ATOs in the country than he does. And he's an incredible family man. He's the guy you want to hang out with on Saturday and watch college football. And then you want to watch what he's drawing up for your team, and his ability to build that program in the 2 years that he was there. Something that I'm so grateful for. Got to do a lot under him, and he was a great leader. Someone I lean on a lot. I text him or I call him and ask him this and that. But just an incredible guy. And then, I was lucky too. Some other coaches, Ed DeChellis, was a guy I was a manager for. He was the head coach at Penn State when I was a manager, and now it's full circle. We're playing Navy, second game of my career here at Temple.
Mhm.
He reached out and said, "Hey, I want you to play in the Veterans Classic, and here's a guy that impacted my life since I've been 19 years old." So I was happy to do that. And Coach Chambers, who's at Florida Gulf Coach, another guy I worked for, just great being able to be with him. And twice I was with him when he started a program at Boston University and Penn State the first time. So just watching those early first 90 days, what do you do, was great. And then, my main mentor, Coach Larinaga, 8 years.
Yeah.
I've already talked about what he's done, but it's just incredible. I got married 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago in Philadelphia, and there was a hurricane coming to Miami. So a lot of the staff couldn't come and had to cancel like the right before the wedding. And he flew out like a day or two early, so he would get out before that just to be at my wedding. But that's the kind of guy he is. Like he's a Hall of Fame person. And I think that goes such a long ways in this industry.
And I
And
kind of
I
want to
kind of want to
expand on
expand
that
on
last
that
aspect
last
you just
aspect you
talked
just
about,
talked about,
because
because
knowing a lot
knowing
of
a lot
guys
of
that
guys that
you've helped
you've helped
coach as an
coach as an
assistant
assistant
coach,
coach,
I feel like
I
there's a
feel like
little
there's a
bit
little bit
deeper
deeper
bond
bond
between you and
between
a lot
you
of
and a lot of
guys. Like,
guys.
of
Like,
course,
of
a lot of
course, a lot of
players know
players
their head
know their head
coach, their
coach, their
assistant
assistant
coach,
coach,
and are
and
cool
are
with
cool with
them.
them.
But you
But
get a
you get
lot
a
of
lot of
support when we
support
see
when we
guys
see
like
guys
Jalen
like Jalen
Pickett,
Pickett,
Seth
Seth
Lundy, like
Lundy,
they're
like they're
wanting you to get
wanting
the
you to
Penn
get the
State
Penn
job
State
when that
job
was
when that was
available. They
available. They
want you
want
to be
you to be
successful. They're
successful. They're
cheering you on
cheering
to
you
get
on
the
to get the
Temple head
Temple head
coaching
coaching
job.
job.
What does it
What does
mean
it
to you
mean
to
to you to
see the
see the
support
support
that so
that
many of these
so many of these
guys you've
guys
helped
you've helped
invest
invest
in
in
now care
now
so much
care so
about
much
you?
about you?
I mean, it's to me, it's the highest praise you can get.
Mhm.
We all have jobs because of student athletes, and I really believe in connections and relationships, and building that with not just the student athlete as you're recruiting them, but their families. And
Yeah.
I still get phone calls from people that I coached a decade ago. Hey, coach, question about this, and guys that you stay in touch with, because that's what it's about for me. So when some of those guys tweet things out, Bruce Brown put something on Instagram when I got the job. Y'all got a great one here. He's winning an NBA championship, and he's with Calvin Booth, the GM, who I've known a long time. Like, that's what it's about. It's about relationships and lifelong relationships. So to me, we've got to give the student athletes the greatest experience they can have, and whatever that may be. But I think you have to invest in them, and you have to teach them because they teach us a lot. I tell it to our guys all the time. I learn just as much from them as I do our coaches and other people because they give you great information. So I like having a really close relationship. I think having them at your house, letting them be around your family, seeing you in a different environment is something important. At Penn State the last 2 years, I know a lot of the guys came to our house, and we had them over the house for Halloween. So, that became the cool house. You knock on the door, there's Jalen Pickett and Miles Dredd and John, all these guys that were there, and they're like, whoa, the basketball team's there. So I think they got to see you outside of basketball too, and you got to show them you care. So I've had some unbelievable players that we've been able to be coached.
So you don't necessarily go into in-depth in each one, but how do you take the next step and become someone that these guys become really close to? Like I said, it feels like there's such a closer bond. So what's kind of game plan? Like, how do you invest in these guys while still being hard on them, probably developing them, but still also being that mentor, father figure, friend, whatever you kind of want to call it role in their lives?
Yeah, I think it's important, Zach, that they know you care. That's the number one thing, is that they got to know you care about them, you're there for them, and you got to invest in them. So I believe in taking guys to lunch, sitting down and having a meal with them, and kind of really just spending time with them. And I have an open door policy. A lot of the coaches I've worked for have that, and I want them to come in and share what they're thinking. And I want to share what I'm thinking too. They're not always the easiest conversations to have, but I think when you give people the honest, truthful feedback, it really helps them in the long run.
So you are one of the youngest coaches in all the country right now. You are under 4 years old. Not many coaches have accomplished that. What does it feel, and what does it mean to you to have that accomplishment now?
It's a great thing. I am getting old, just turned 40, so I feel older now last week. But, I think it's a testament. I had goals just like everybody in this industry, but I never was always set like I have to do this, I have to do this. I just kept going places and wanting to be a sponge. What can I learn from this head coach? What can I learn from ADs? I've learned a lot from the athletic directors that I've been able to work under, and I've taken some from all of them, whether it be Blake James, Sandy Barber, Pat Kraft, any of those. There's Drew Marichello, who's at Boston University. Like, I've worked for some great administrators that really help you. I think it's important because you hear how they think and get to help you with your program. So I'm excited about it. I feel like the last 5 months have been about 5 years. So that's been great. Between that and a 2.5-year-old, lost a lot of sleep, but it's great, especially to be back here in Philadelphia.
When you talk about having to be able to grow now, being head coach for the first time, how do you plan to adjust to this new life as going from someone helping the head coach to now taking over the reins of an entire program?
I think, Zach, it first starts with having a great staff. I think when you have a great staff, it takes so much off the head coach's plate. And, we have Coach Michael Huger, who's been a head coach at Bowling Green for 8 years. We worked together at Miami. He played for Coach Larinaga. So you had him. Chris Clark was super excited that he stayed. I said he was the first guy we got in the portal for him to stay at Temple. He played here. That was great. And then Bobby Jordan was our third assistant that we got here, and just his ties to the area, the family man. So I think those three, and then you look at the rest of the staff that we've hired, it's made my life so much easier. Our ops guy, Jimmy Polisi, was a manager here for Coach Fran Dunphy. We brought in Andrew Ortelli, video coordinator from Kentucky. So that expertise, being under Hall of Fame coach and that kind of program, bringing that expertise in here has been great. Khalif Wyatt has joined our staff, great Temple player. His professional career. He coached last year as well. And then Cam Winter was another guy that a lot of Penn State fans know, and Drexel fans. So was excited to give him an opportunity to get into coaching. So that, I know I gave you a long-winded answer for it, but I think hiring a great staff and having those guys around. We have two great GAs, Jalen Bond, who played here, Seth Needle, a Philadelphia guy who was a manager at South Carolina. When you have a great staff, it takes things off my plate and lets me focus on certain things. So each day, though, Zach, we take it day by day. I used to say it was day by day. It was hour by hour early on. But I think having a great staff that we can throw ideas out there too, and they're a great sounding board for me. I throw crazy ideas. They'll tell me, "Coach, you're nuts. That's not going to work." Hey, coach, that's a good idea. So I think having guys I trust that I've known a long time on our staff has been awesome.
So how
So
did you
how
go
did you
about
go
building
about
this
building this
staff?
staff?
Because you
Because
come
you
in
come
and you
in and
obviously
you
have
obviously have
spots to
spots to
fill,
fill,
jobs to
jobs to
give.
give.
What were you
What were you
looking
looking
for when
for
you were
when you were
getting
getting
each guy to
each guy
come
to
onto
come
this
onto this
bench
bench
and try
and
to
try
help
to
grow this
help grow this
program
program
alongside you?
alongside you? Biggest thing is I wanted great people.
Mhm.
That's what I've learned, so much from my mentors. If you have great people, you can do great things. So that was the biggest thing for me. Great people. Was able to get guys that are great fathers, great husbands, because our staff has little kids, and I want their children to look up to our student athletes, and I know they'll recruit the right student athlete for that. So that was something really important to me. Hiring great people. I wanted people that I felt were invested in Temple. This is a special place. So that was something really important to me. People that know Philadelphia. We're going to recruit nationally because it's a national brand, but I wanted guys that knew the city, have great ties here, because we got to recruit our backyard. I know that. We got to win here. So that was a big thing. And then, you're looking at people you trust, people you've known through the years. That was something really important to me. So I had some type of connection with everybody on our staff at some point, which was something great. And I was just excited they all came.
So on the
So on
flip
the
side
flip
of
side of
that, how
that,
about the
how about the
guys
guys
that you are
that you
going
are
to now
going
be
to now be
coaching?
coaching?
Because you
Because
had
you
some
had some
returners, but
returners, but
still a
still
lot
a
of
lot
spots
of
to
spots
fill,
to
a lot
fill,
of
a
guys
lot of
to
guys
add
to add
in.
in.
What were you
What were
looking
you
for when
looking
you
for
talk
when you
about
talk about
adding each one
adding
of
each
these
one of these
pieces to
pieces to
help build
help
this
build this
roster?
roster? When you got the job, you look at the roster. So the first thing I tried to do was meet with all of the Temple players that were on the team, that
Mhm.
even if they had entered the portal or not, just to sit down with them. And then from there, you figure out who's staying, who's leaving, and now you piece it together. And what we tried to do was best student athlete we could find, and they had to fit us, and that was a big thing. Academics are huge here. It's unbelievable. It's I think one of the top places I've ever worked at with academics. It's the help and everything they need. It's right here in our building. So you got to be a great student. So we had to focus on that. Portal recruitments are quick, right? So they're a lot quicker than getting to know someone for 2 years. So we try to do a lot of homework and find, again, great people that fit how we want to play. We want some skill. We want toughness, and we want guys that we felt would come in and that want to win. That was a big thing. Like we need guys that want to come together and win. And we wanted to get a little bit older, so that was something we really looked for in the portal. So we were really excited with the 5 guys that we brought in. We had to re-recruit 2 guys that were already here, but we're excited. We got our crew, and we had a great summer, and we started fall workouts, so we're excited.
Walk us through the
Walk us through the
roster
roster
because there
because
are
there are
some
some
guys that I'm
guys that I'm
excited to
excited to
see.
see.
Jordan
Jordan
Riley's a
Riley's
guy
a guy
that
that
had a pretty high
pretty
hopes
high
for.
hopes for.
Obviously,
Obviously,
man,
man,
worked
I
out
worked
to
out to
Georgetown. Now
Georgetown.
comes
That
out
comes out
here, and
here, and
he gets an
he gets an
opportunity to
opportunity
play.
to play.
Hopefully,
Hopefully,
a lot
a
of guys
lot of
like
guys like
Shane's been a
Shane's
guy
been a
that
guy
was
that
once a
was once a
top-ranked
top-ranked
recruit. He's
recruit.
coming
He's
back
coming back
now.
now.
The list
The
goes
list goes
on.
on.
So
So
just kind of
just
give
kind
us
of
your
give us your
thoughts. A
thoughts. A
little bit
little
into the
bit into the
offseason,
offseason,
seeing these
seeing
guys a
these guys
little
a
bit,
little
not
bit,
full
not full
game
game
action yet,
action yet,
but
but
what's your
what's
thoughts
your
on the
thoughts
team
on the
so
team so
far?
far? I'm excited. They're coming together. When you have a lot of new pieces, and as much work as we did on the court this summer, we did the same amount, if not more, off the court. So we did a mini golf tournament. We had teams. We had a trophy, a whole thing to try to bring us together. We were excited. We went to a Phillies game. We got to watch batting practice. They went to Chicky and Pete's and got to watch the NBA draft together. So we try to do a lot of team bonding and team activities, so it got us closer together. But excited. You got the guys that were on the team last year. Hasir Miller obviously started, played a lot of minutes. Philly guy, Philly point guard. Jaleel White, Jersey guy that was here last year. Has got just a great work ethic. Comes in and tries to compete every day. And we had, Taj Tweet, who is also here, transferred from West Virginia, sat out last year. He's ready to go. And then you talked about Shane. Shane's a name I've known for a long time. I was excited. I'm really excited. He's really worked hard. Since he's got back, he's been on a mission. He's getting in extra on that. So that was something we were excited about. Ema, a big guy on our team. I joked at my press conference everybody was going to shoot threes. About a week into being here, he came to me and said, "Coach, I don't really shoot threes. So let's try it. Let's try it for a week." A week later, he came back. He said, "I'm still not there." I go, "Okay, we'll go dribble handoff for you." But we're excited that those guys, and then we have a freshman, Zion Stanford, who won a state title, great, well-coached team at West Catholic this year. He was committed. We met with him immediately to keep him recommitted. So you had that piece, and then you added the guys, like you said. We added Matteo Piccarelli, comes from UMBC, extremely well coached, Coach Ferry's team there. Excited for his ability to stretch the floor, and he's fit in great with this team. Jordan Riley, who you mentioned, I mean, just super athlete, plays hard, works out too much. We almost had to tell him, like, hey, go rest, and just wants to win. That's all he wants to talk about is I want to win, I want to win. Steve Settle's a guy we were really excited about. 6'10" from Howard, NCAA tournament experience. Again, comes from a great program, so well coached in high school and in college. To have him come in, he fit in right away. He picks up things quickly. So that was really good for us. And then Quante Berry is a guy that our staff had known early on. And he redshirted last year, but he was on a team at Providence that, again, comes from a great program that won. So he knows what it takes. And that was a big thing for us. We wanted guys that wanted to be here, that want to win. And then we just added Sam Hoffman, another fifth-year guy who older, competes, plays at a high level. So we're excited with our roster. And, we keep getting – the more we get together, the better we feel about it.
I also want to go into a little bit historical based on you. Might have gone back quite a few years, but I was reading that you officially started wanting to become a coach when you were in ninth grade, if I'm not mistaken. So you got to take us to that story a little bit.
I think I played growing up soccer, basketball, and baseball. My dad coached my brother and I in every sport when you're like in the little league and all that. So I loved playing every sport. My dad got to coach us. It was awesome. I thought he was hard on me. I'd have a bad game. He would tell me, like, you didn't play well. I was like, Dad, come on. So growing up, we were a big sports family. I think I realized it in ninth grade that, I'm probably not playing in the NBA, so I think it's, what are you going to do next? And I knew I wanted to coach. I just knew it. I enjoyed that aspect of it. So I kind of set my mind up then, and I knew I wasn't good enough to play at the level I would want to be at. So I knew right away, go be a manager. I talked to several people that said, hey, be a manager. It's a great way to learn. It was a transition, right? You go from practicing every day to now you're wiping up the sweat. You're doing the laundry. You're doing all that. But that being a manager prepared me to be here. It really helped me understand every role and every job in your program. And I have great respect for our managers. I try to help as many managers as I can get in this industry. But I knew early on that I wanted to coach, and I stayed on that path. And I thank my parents. They gave me a lot of support to get to this point. So I'm grateful for all their help.
You have risen pretty quickly to this spot because, as I mentioned, you're one of the youngest coaches in the entire country. So if we were to go back to when you first started your college coaching career, could you have ever imagined rising to and having a job like Temple this quickly?
It's a goals act that, again, you want to keep getting better. And what I try to do at every job I was at was do the best job in that job. When I was a director of basketball, I wanted to be the best director of basketball in the country. And what that meant was doing that job, but I also wanted to learn the coaching stuff. So Mike Huger, who's on our staff, I used to sit in his office and listen to him make recruiting calls when I was the ops guy, but I did it at nighttime. So I knew that my director ops day, I was doing everything I could for Coach Larnega, the staff, whatever it took. And that's the advice I give everybody. Do the best job in the job you're in. You can't always be trying to reach and get to that next one. So I just tried to focus on, all right, here I am. I'm a GA here. I want to be the best GA I can be. Now I'm a video coordinator. And when I was a video coordinator, I knew nothing about video. I was up till 3, 4 in the morning. I had no idea what cables were hooking. I'm calling Exos every night. This is broken, the server, this and that. But I wanted to be the best at it. And I always tried to take that approach is do the best job in the job you're in, and then the next one will come. So that was kind of my approach throughout this. So I've always tried to take the approach to help the head coach, whatever I could do to take something off their plate, the smallest thing to the biggest thing, whatever it may be, so that they could have one less thing to have to worry about. So that's kind of how I approached it.
When did you start feeling that you thought you could actually take over the reins of a college basketball program? Was that something that didn't maybe even hit until just a couple months ago when you first got the job, or was it sometime in the past couple of years where you started feeling like, I do feel like if given the opportunity, I could do a really good job as being a head coach of a university?
I think you always think you can do it, right? Even when we're young in this industry, we think, oh, I know this. I know the best play. I know what to do. And then you're like, whoa, I don't know anything. As a GA, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I think Coach Larnega prepares you. So I think that's when it hit me when I was working for him at the University of Miami. And we had great players then and a great staff. And, I think that's when you start thinking about it, right? When you see the success and Coach L, what he does so well with his staff is he gives you the opportunity to be involved in so much. So I felt like I'm in budget meetings. I'm doing non-conference schedule. I'm getting to do certain things. He hands you a clipboard in the middle of a game to draw up a play. He does all these things to prepare you, just like he prepares his players for their next step. He prepares everybody in his program. That's when I felt like I could be a head coach because of my experience there. And then again, for me, it had to be the right fit and right place. And, this was it. Like there were some other jobs and like, this is the one I was like, man, this would be awesome to be at Temple and be back home in Philadelphia.
I want to go a little bit deep into what you just talked about with Coach Larinaga because that's a unique thing because as a head coach, especially someone as established and accomplished as Coach Larinaga is, you could easily have the mindset. I don't think too many people would be mad at you if you just said, okay, I'm going to be the one that does the plays all the time. I'm the guy, I'm this, that, and third. Everyone's just going to help me out. How have you learned to now incorporate saying that pretty much no matter how accomplished you can get, there's always a sense of allowing others to work, to have this humility about you?
Yeah, I think it's so important. It was something I loved as an assistant. If coach says, hey, take this side of the court, put us through our plays, like that little stuff. So we've incorporated it here. Like I give our assistants, we meet before practice every day, and I'll say, hey, you take this drill, you take this drill. So that's going to be your voice. You explain it, go through it, and then you run it. And we kind of split that up, So I think I tried to take things that I really liked as an assistant, and I'm trying to do that for our staff too here, hoping that they'll have that same thing. So I think it's really important for your whole staff. Even now with the addition of having two more coaches on the court, Cam Winter, who's obviously new into the coaching industry, we give him a drill. I want his voice and let him work on that. Same with Khalif Wyatt. This is his first year at Division I coaching. Here's your drill today. You coach it. Take ownership of it. And I think that's been really good here for us. And it's grateful that I was able to learn that other places.
Can we ask? I want to go a little bit deeper about Cam because he's a guy that was just playing at an NCAA tournament level on a team last year. He comes on this team, and I have to imagine that he's probably still has a little bit of juice to want to compete sometimes. So does he hop into some of the scrimmages, and how's he looking?
He looks great. He's out there a little bit. With the new rule, he's allowed to. It's a great perspective for me. A lot of people told me when I was going to hire him, he's young and this and that, but he gives me a lot of what the players are thinking. He'll say, hey, coach, yesterday was really hard. Maybe go a little lighter today. Or, hey, this drill's really good, but I think we could tweak this. This makes a little bit more sense. It's a little bit more game-like. So he's been awesome. We were together last year, so he knows kind of what I'm thinking a little bit more than anybody right now sometimes. Hey, this and that. He had opportunity to go overseas, and, it was a tough decision for him. But I think he wanted to get into coaching. And again, it goes back to what you said early on about relationships. I think, Mike Fairley did a great job recruiting him and Coach Shrewsbury to Penn State. And then when he got there, him and I got really close. We developed a great relationship. And I think that's something like you can't go into a parent's house and say, I'm going to take care of your son to do this and this. And now here's a young man that wants to get into coaching, and I have an opportunity to hire him. So that was something really important and special for me that I want it to be clear. Hey, we're going to really take care of your son for a lifetime if they come here. It's not just for the 1 year, 4 years, however long they're in your program. And he's been great. He talks a little bit too much trash too. So we'll tone down on that a little.
All right, so I do want to talk about some of the guys a little bit more specifically that you coached throughout your career. Going all the way back to Miami days, Bruce Brown, NBA champion, Zay Wong, now going to the NBA, Lenny Walker, he's the guy that's been in the NBA. When you just get to coach these guys that were great collegiate players, but have now developed into legitimate NBA guys too now, what was it like being with those guys out there in Miami?
It was awesome. It was just a great experience. Some of those guys, when you think of the University of Miami, at least for me, growing up, you think of football. What Coach Larinaga has been able to do, now you think basketball, right? And it's a lot of having those great players. It started with his team and Shane Larkin and, what they do, and they win the ACC and just the way he's built it. But having guys like Bruce Brown, it was awesome. Their work ethic and, I always say this and people don't always believe it. There's no egos. Everybody has an ego, but there were no egos. They just wanted to win and get better. Lonnie Walker coming from Reading, PA was awesome. So that was really exciting for us to have there. But just that run of great players, even guys that didn't play in the NBA, but were, Angel Rodriguez, Kamari Murphy, Sheldon Mack, those guys, Sheldon McClellan back then. Just some great players that really fun to watch. Sometimes you see them in practice and you're like, wow, like you just sit back and but then watching some of those guys like a Davon Reed who comes there and becomes a 32nd pick of the NBA draft, you're just like, that is awesome. So it was a lot of fun. I think as coaches, when you have really good players, it makes our job a lot easier and makes us look good. So we're doing to try to get those same type players here at Temple.
Take us through this Penn State career because you're out there, you go to your alma mater, and Penn State was not on the highest of highs, to say the least, in terms of a program heading into that time. And you end up going out there, and you guys help lead this team to the very first tournament win since 2001. Walk us through how you guys were able to get that done.
First off, Coach Shrewsbury just had a vision. It was a really difficult decision for me to leave the University of Miami to go to Penn State. It was a big family thing. We had a 5-month-old at the time, and I wanted to get closer to home, and it was a great opportunity to be back at my alma mater. Coach Shrewsbury put together an incredible staff. I know those guys were awesome to work with and just prepared every day, and it was quick in 2 years. But he had a clear vision of how he's going to run his program, how to get the right personnel, and here's how we're going to do this, and we're going to win. And he's so detailed, and it was just special. It was special to watch it, and the way he built the culture quickly. I know it's a hot word that you hear all the time, but he really did. He built it, and guys were going over his house, and it was a lot of fun. That was a special group, especially this past season. Guys, we were 5-9 at one point in the Big Ten, and then go on the run, and those guys just all decided, hey, you scored 20. It doesn't matter. We're just going to go win. We want to make the tournament. We want to make it. And for me as a Penn State alum, it was an awesome feeling to get to the NCAA tournament, to win a game for the first time in 20-something years was really special. I think I had more text about that than when I got married. So a lot of people have known Penn State. My dad went to Penn State. My brother went there. So it was really neat, but it was remarkable what Coach Shrewsbury, again, I think he put together an incredible staff and then just got the right student athletes there to make it happen.
One guy, Jalen Pickett, one of the top picks in the second round for Denver Nuggets. He has a very unique style of play. And you guys allowed him to go out there and play that. When a lot of people probably say that's just not going to be able to work. That's not going to happen at the collegiate level, the Big Ten level. But you guys said, no, we're going to let him do his thing. It might look different. It might not be the typical play style. But it more than worked out for you guys. He was one of the top players in the entire country. What gave you the confidence to say, we're going to let you go out there and be yourself?
I think it's Coach Shrewsbury. He knows how to get the best out of everybody, and he's going to adjust to the personnel he has. It's not, hey, this is how we're going to play. This is it. Boom. Like he was able to adjust to fit that team. And Jalen Pickett is very unique, and he did some great stuff to put us in great situations so that Jalen could be successful. But then Jalen made all the guys around him better too. And those guys did a great job. You have Andrew Funk spacing the floor. Seth Lundy gets drafted, right? You had Cam out there. There are just so many guys. Miles Dredd, we move Miles around to all these different positions. So I think Jalen's ability to guard 1 through 4. I think even at one point he was guarding Zach Edey at the 5, and here's your point guard. And he just has such a high IQ. He was extremely well coached coming in, and Coach Shrews got him so much better too. But having that high IQ really allowed us to do a lot of things, and I think it's going to be sky's the limit for him. I'm excited to see him play with the Denver Nuggets.
All right, so let's get back into Temple to wrap this up because you head into this program and it's coming into a conference that's having a lot of change. We know 4 programs head out to Big 12. You guys replace them, have new teams coming in. I guess 5 actually because SMU is also heading out to the ACC in a year now. When you just talk about the changing, the shifting of this conference, how excited are you to come in here and hopefully establish now a new brand that helps replace some of the other teams and kind of rebuild this conference in a sense?
I think the teams we're bringing in, there's some great teams. You look at FAU coming into the league, right? Went to a Final Four. You have 2 teams that were competing. One wins the NIT. They're playing against each other, joining our league. So I think you're bringing in some really, big time programs into the league. And we're excited. I don't get too caught up in who's leaving and who's coming.
Sure.
We know we're gonna have 31 games wherever they are. We'll jump on a plane wherever it may be and go play. But like you said, it's exciting time though. I think it's a really great conference, especially basketball. There's some great schools with great history. There's some amazing coaches in our league. Got to spend some time with them at AAC meetings. So I'm just excited to be a part of it. I think, we want to make this a tough place to come. We're far from a lot of these schools. So I want them to jump on a plane and come to North Broad Street. And hopefully we'll have the Leah Center rocking for them.
What are you trying to build at this program? When you talk about an identity, a culture, however you want to sum it up, what are you trying to build at Temple?
We want to build a culture of winning, and we want to compete. I want you to come watch our team play and be like, man, that team gave it everything they had. They competed and they played for each other. And that's something that's really important. Like, I want to see the most connected team out there. I want our fans to feel a part of it and be a part of our success. And when we lose, feel that too. Be a part of everything we're doing. But, we want to compete. We want to play hard like everybody else. But we also want to have some fun. Like, our guys got to have fun. They got to smile a little bit while they're out there and be loose. I use the term, we got to be loose but locked in. And you can be both. Like, you can play freely and we don't have to be tight. But we got to be totally locked into everything we're doing. And that's where I think being connected is so important. Not just the 5 guys that are out there, but I need the whole bench, everybody on our team. 14 guys are on our roster. All 14 need to be locked in for 40 minutes every single night.
So this is going to be year one for yourself. What are the goals? What do you want to accomplish, establish, get done in your very first year?
It's probably coach talk to you, Zach, but just get better. We want to get better every game, and everybody says that, but we want to set our foundation, right? I want to build our foundation, make sure people, our team knows our core values, and I want our guys to understand what it's going to be a Temple basketball player. We have high expectations, so they need to understand that early on, and they have. These guys have bought in early, and that was something that we asked them to do. I said, buy in right away. It's blind faith, but buy in. The quicker you buy in, the more successful we can be as a group. So in year one, we want to make sure we keep getting better every single game. We want to play our best basketball come March. We want to build this thing, and I want to enjoy it. I think a lot of times, a lot of coaches, you got to enjoy this process wherever it may take you. And I've always said, if I became head coach, I want my family to enjoy it too. So being back here, our AD, Arthur Johnson, awesome guy. I've been so excited to get to know him and his family. But I told him I need extra tickets because, being only an hour away, I need a lot of tickets, especially that November 6th game. I'm already getting a lot of requests, but I want to enjoy it. But we're gonna work really hard. And I think that's something you got to do. You got to enjoy it while you go through it.
Is there a sense of pride or just a little bit more excitement to that? You're not just the head coach of any program, but you're the program of a school that was pretty close to home. Like, you, in a sense, give you that hometown hero, if you want to call it. Does that have any more excitement for yourself?
The exciting part is growing up, watching Temple and seeing all the great players and great, coaches. I got to talk to Coach Chaney's son and daughter-in-law, and I was like, wow, like, this was awesome for me, right? And, I think Aaron McKee's a legend. So any chance I get to talk to Coach McKee, and I tell him that all the time, like the first time Coach McKee and Coach Dunphy said my name on the road recruiting, I was like, wow. I called back home, like, Coach Dunphy and Coach McKee know my name. Like, they're legends to me. So, to be a part of that, it's just something really special. The Big Five is something that's really special to me. Grew up watching those games. So to be a part of all this, that's what makes it exciting, and to be back here and enjoy it. That's what I look forward to.
Well, Coach, I got one final question for you before I let you go. And that's when you talk about this first year. What are you the most excited for?
I'm most excited to see us grow. I want to see this team that we put together as a great staff. Everybody, we come together, you get the job, you start making calls right away. And, I want to be able to reflect and see, how do we grow from when we came together to whatever our last game is. That excites me, to see what these student athletes do and build this. We want to build it as a family, and I think that's something important. So growth, that's what we're looking for.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you in year one and throughout the remainder of your entire Temple career. Best of luck, Coach.
Man, you're a superstar. You get everybody on your thing. I don't know how you do it. I got to get you to be an assistant the way you recruit. It's awesome.
Appreciate
thanks, Jack, for your time, man. Thank you.
No problem. Have a good day, Coach. God bless.
All right.